Be Different podcast is back early Wednesday morning. Brad Redford is here. Nick Given, Greg Wichard. Good to see you guys here. Greg, how are you?
Good. How are you, Brad?
I like the Aspen hat.
Thanks.
It looks good on you.
Thanks.
It really does. I mean,
it was a free promo hat.
That's a true compliment too. It's not a backhanded compliment by any means.
It sounded backhanded.
Thank you very much.
It didn't. Nick, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm better than you.
Yeah, I'm not doing well. We'll get to that here in a second. But Ryan Fowler, how are you doing this morning? Ryan Fowler is our special guest. But Ryan, what's going on? Thank you for getting up early with the Be Different podcast.
Yeah, I will say that it is not my peak hours right now. So we're definitely going to survive and advance through this. But I appreciate the invite, and I will get used to this microphone talking right down the barrel of it.
Yeah,
we'll fight through it.
Well, I'm definitely still working on it. Andy Mack, who's normally here, he's definitely still working on it. So no worries at all. And I apologize because I think when Greg texted you, he initially said 7:45 start time, and then I followed that up with the 7:30. So
it was the 15 minutes.
And then Greg came out with 7:15 last night. I'm like, Brad and I agree.
Yeah.
Oh, you went 7:15?
Yeah, last night.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, 7:30. It is what it is. So we're going to talk a lot of NBA today. Before we get to that, I want everybody to know that I'm struggling a little bit right now. So if I do need to leave for an extended period of time, just know that I think I'm going to be okay. I picked up the E. coli virus on Friday. I grabbed a salad from Corrito. So if you're going to Corrito or if you're going anywhere right now, please stay away from the romaine lettuce. And Corrito, I love you.
One sponsorship down.
Yeah. But man, you guys killed me. I've been on a toilet since Saturday. Yes, I will be heading to the doctor again this afternoon to make sure that I am okay. But E. coli, I can say this for a fact. It is a real thing. It is out there, and the bacteria is in Cincinnati. Because it's right here in my body right now.
But you have the vitamin water, who could also be a sponsor of this podcast down the road.
And vitamin water has been very helpful for me in moving forward with everything.
I have the E. coli.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. The entire time that Chipotle was going through their deal, didn't stop me at all. I didn't believe it. So had I known you at that time, I would have not gone.
I've been sending out tweets, Facebook messages. I've been blasting it out like, stay away. I called you guys immediately and I said, if you bought any lettuce at all, you either got to stir fry it, put it in the oven, you got to cook it, you got to bake it, or you got to get rid of it.
You actually saved me. I was about to go eat lunch, and half of it was romaine. Mm-hmm. And then I just threw it away.
Well, that was smart. Well, I'll be starting a GoFundMe. So if you want to help me supply any money for me to get better, I'm going to need a handful of drugs over the next couple of weeks, and I'm going to need money to pay for that. All right? So, Ryan, you've been in the sports business for over 14 years in broadcast, sports digital. You've been with Fox Sports, more recently with Oddshark.com. So maybe just give us a little bit of background on yourself, where you're at right now.
Yeah, like you said, I worked for Fox Sports for 7 years, fantasy baseball and football editor. Before that, I was working in TV up in Toledo as a sports anchor reporter down over at NBC. So I did that for the first 7 years of my career. So 7 years in TV, 7 years in digital. Worked with your producer, Greg, on the video side of things. Did some great
call
content.
him producer. You're so
I like
kind.
that.
I like that. Producer Greg Wichard.
It's just true.
It's just like what is it? Half baked guy on the couch over here. So I'm trying to get all the characters down. But yeah, 7 years. 7 years in TV, 7 years in digital, and now doing a little freelancing with Oddshark, and just trying to find that next full-time gig. Love podcasts, love radio, love all the different mediums now. And I was fascinated with the space too. When I saw the video podcast samples on YouTube, I was blown away. So definitely happy to be here and ready to chop up some NBA.
Yeah, shout out Sean Miller for the space. Thanks, Sean.
Wait, Sean Miller?
Yeah, Sean Miller. Is that how he's paying Sean Harden?
Sean Harden, Jesus Christ.
Oh, man.
That's when you know that it's early.
DeAndre Ayton's online, too.
Jeez. How much did Sean Miller pay you to plug him right now?
Not as much as he paid you to go to Xavier.
And we're going to move on that. But let's go to
a team. Coli's chewing up right now.
Let's go to a team that Ryan loves, a team that I'm a little bit uncertain about right now. We'll go to the Cavaliers versus Pacers series. The Cavaliers seem to be really up and down. LeBron James, we know, is fantastic, one of the best players of all time, but that supporting cast just doesn't look like at this point it's going to be enough. Are the Cavs going to be able to finish out the series? And if they do finish out the series, what are your thoughts on them moving forward as they continue to play in the NBA playoffs?
Well, it's not pretty, right? I mean, this has not been a pretty series, and you look back at the last couple playoff series for the Cavs, and it was easy, right? I mean, this is definitely showing how much they miss Kyrie Irving as a distributor, as somebody who set up that offense and really ran, because they really haven't had a point guard like Kyrie, and I know that's tough shoes to fill, but here's the funny thing about that. So if we had Kyrie, if we had Kyrie, we wouldn't have him right now because of the injury. So when we look at what is left there, Kevin Love, he'll step up, hit some threes here and there, but they have to get him involved early. They haven't been able to do that. LeBron will take over a game. And then the post presence is obviously just completely lacking. I mean, Tristan Thompson got paid like $80 million, and he's a bench player now that gets maybe 2 minutes of run per game. LeBron and Kevin Love are trying to fill up what they can in the paint, but I mean, they've had easy buckets in the paint, a lot of points in the paint, and it's just not been pretty compared to years past, and that's what's the frustrating thing as a fan and even as an analyst, because you look at them and you have a generational talent like LeBron, and they can't get over the hump over the Indiana Pacers. And I know Oladipo's played out. Bogdanovic the other night just shot the lights out. If he doesn't have that game, it's 3-1 right now. And I think that's easy to say. So you go back to Cleveland. I think they close out the series, to answer your question. I don't think that's an issue. I think when you look at the next round, I think Toronto or even Washington, I think the Cavs have the one up on them. I think the Pacers are just a team on the rise. I still think Miles Turner might be one of the best players in this league in 2 years. Just based on his development and his ability to shoot threes, because you look at Karl Anthony Towns, you look at the big men of today, that's a team that's going to get better really, really quick, like the Bucks, like the 76ers. So I don't think they're going away. I just think the Cavs ran into a buzzsaw with a team on the rise that's playing with a lot of confidence, because Oladipo does not give two you-know-whats about anything. He'll run right at you. They'll get out of the series. It just hasn't been pretty.
Yeah, and the Pacers are playing with a ton of confidence. You know, Lance Stevenson continues to talk as much trash. Guy coming off the bench. He's played it well in this series, but he continues to attack LeBron, continues to attack the Cavaliers. And for Tristan Thompson, is it part of the Kardashian curse? Is that's what's happening to the Cavaliers? It's just when the Kardashians get involved, you know, things seem to change.
I don't think that is out of the realm of possibilities, because there's a lot of distractions with dating any Kardashian. You know, I mean, look at what happened to Reggie Bush. Look what happened to just the host of character, Lamar. We don't have enough time to chop that up.
Oh,
but
man.
no, with Thompson,
Poor Lamar.
I think what happened with Thompson, and this happens a lot. I mean, the guy got paid, and then it was just, I'm just going to go through the motions, because he's that tweener size, right? I mean, he is that in-between size in the post. And he got paid. He was decent on the offensive side of the ball with offensive rebounds, but I just don't think he had the height and what big men are now, where they're quicker, they can get out, they can stretch the offense and spread the floor on the offensive side. He's just not that player. So when you're kind of a battler, and again, and this is the God's honest truth, I really think he misses Delly. I mean, Delly and Tristan Thompson, they had a chemistry there on the pick and roll and getting that lob in the lane, and there's just not that anymore. So Tristan, I think Kardashian has some off-the-court issues because of whatever comes with that. But I think on the floor, I think he got paid, and it's easy to get into a malaise and just get really lazy because you got that money. I think JR's went through that too. JR turns it on whenever he wants, but Tristan, I think his body size and what a big man is today is really what's held him back the last few years.
Well, let's talk about some of the pieces that aren't here. I mean, Kyrie leaves at the end of the season. He obviously moves on to Boston. But how much does LeBron have to do? How much blame does he have right now for the current roster? I mean, you look around the other teams in the league, too. Derrick Rose has played some good minutes for the Timberwolves in the playoffs. Dwayne Wade, I know that the Miami Heat are out, but Dwayne Wade played, good as well. How much does LeBron have to blame for the way this team looks right now?
Are you speaking about the players that moved on this year, or the way that contracts were structured before?
I would say over the last couple of years.
Okay, so it's twofold. I think as far as this year goes, when you look at what Rose and Wade and how there was that shift in just basically roster overhaul at the trade deadline, where they brought in Clarkson and Nance and things and moved Crowder out and Rose and everything. Because you bring up Rose, which is a great point, that he has played decent ball for many here in the playoffs, but I think Ty Lue lost that locker room. I really think Ty Lue is just not – you hate to put the blame on the coach because the players play, but Ty Lue is not – you look at his demeanor, you hear him. How is he making that team better? And I think when the players that came in, a lot of new faces after the Kyrie trade, Wade comes in, is Ty Lue inspiring them to get better? And I don't think they did. So what you do is you move out some guys, you bring in some new blood, and then Ty Lue can kind of build a relationship with them. As far as the contract, that's where LeBron maybe has some of the blame there, because he said pay JR, pay Tristan. Now, at the end of the day, as a Clevelander, you got a championship out of it, right? So does it really matter in the long run? If you take the championship when you had that huge drought, does it really matter? No, but long term, this team was supposed to win more than one championship, right? So I think the money tied up after LeBron said, pay these role players, they got paid, tied up a lot of money. LeBron can get paid whatever he wants, but JR and Tristan's contracts, even Kevin Love's to a certain degree, is a lot of money to tie up where you couldn't go out and make other moves to make the team younger. They're the oldest team in the playoffs, which can't be really like poo-pooed, because that does matter with how young the Pacers are, and we're getting run off the court.
Don't say poo-poo today.
Yeah, this is true. It's a trigger word. It's a trigger word. He starts sweating. I think LeBron on the contract side and the guys that he has to get paid. But this year, I really think Ty Lue. And he's got personal health problems too that have just not allowed that team to really. Because when Larry Drew coached, they lost one game. So I think it's not LeBron's fault. From this year's standpoint, I think the contracts tied up some money that could have made that team younger and better in different ways.
Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot, and it's the last question that we'll have about the Cleveland Cavaliers. Do they make it to the NBA Finals?
Short answer is yes.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. We're going to move on. Let's go to another series, a team that should be able to challenge Golden State on the west side. That's number 1 Houston versus the 8 seed Minnesota Timberwolves. Game 3, Minnesota came back after Houston had won 2 games in a row. Minnesota dominated Houston after not being able to beat them in the regular season or in the playoffs. But Houston came back in Game 4, having a 50-point third quarter. James Harden went off. Do you feel like this Houston team has enough firepower to keep up with the Golden State Warriors?
Short answer is no. I mean, I look at these box scores, and you don't even have Curry on the floor, and you're going out there. And I know the Spurs are they're in that transition mode. I mean, you lose Tim Duncan, and then, they're old too. I mean, DeJounte Murray didn't take that next step that I think a lot of people thought he was going to. But, when Durant and Draymond Green and Clay are out there and they're running teams off the court by 20, then you're going to get Curry back from his injury, and he's going to be healthy by the time that they match up. I just think that this is going to be pretty one-sided. I think it'll be closer than in years past, but I could see the Warriors winning 4-1 and advancing into the finals again. I don't think – again, I think that when you look at that 4-pack of Curry, Durant, Draymond, and Clay, that's just scary, right? Yeah. And that's what stinks about, and I don't mean to bring the Cavs back in, but the Cavs build this team, right, to be one of the best, like the big three, the next big three with Love, Kyrie, and then they built the team the wrong way because you get this team of shooters that we haven't seen in NBA history, and then they bring in Durant, who's the stretched 5, basically, that, again, is not the antithesis of Tristan Thompson. It's the perfectly constructed team, and that's what's so scary about him, is that I think when you look at the East and you look at any of the contenders, even the Sixers on the rise, let's say the Sixers are the best team right now in the East, right? Let's say they're going to get destroyed by the Warriors. It's not even a contest just because – and again, there has been a lot more discussion, and you shot some threes in college, right? There's been a lot of discussion of how the
all I did.
Yeah, well, that the 3 ball is hurting the NBA game. No, it's not. You become better than me. Find a way to build a team that can shoot threes better than the competition, and you're going to have a chance to win an NBA championship. I think the Cavs get drunk on that. I think some teams get drunk on that. But when the Warriors do, it doesn't seem to hurt them. There's no living by the 3, dying by the 3 with the Warriors. They just make them.
Well, and when you got Klay Thompson being able to shoot threes as efficiently as he does, Steph Curry, Draymond Green at times, and obviously Kevin Durant is an absolute freak show. But you take a look at James Harden, likely going to be the MVP. I still don't know what to make of him, though. I watch him sometimes, and I think he's obviously one of the best players in the league, and other times he looks slow. Defensively, doesn't look like he's completely bought into the team concept. Am I wrong thinking that although he's the MVP, I don't know that he's a guy that can even come close to winning and leading a team to win an NBA championship?
Yeah, and I think the part of the reason where there is the defensive side of the thing, but I think his personality too is kind of it puts people off, right? I mean, he's got all this swagger in the world. He's got this confidence, but you don't hear from him as much as you do LeBron and other MVP candidates. He doesn't get as much, I think, ink. I can't wait for him to basically, he's going to write an article for the Players Tribune, and then we're like, oh, that's the James Harden that we wanted to know. Thanks for letting us in, because I think when you go and you're like, man, he's my MVP, you get to know him a little bit more. And yeah, Kevin Durant's a little quiet, but he talks a little bit more. Plus, he needs 2 Twitter accounts to get all his comments out, a burner account and his real account. But yeah, I think Harden has no doubt in the world an ability to really take over a game, obviously. And even if the defensive side of the ball is lacking, the plus minus, which again is a stat that a lot of people like to look at these days, is so through the roof. Plus, you bring in Chris Paul, so you have this 2-man game that he's kind of lacked in years past. And it still allows Harden to be the number 1 option. I don't think, though, that Paul and Harden as a 2-man is enough to get over the 4-pack in Golden State.
He's so much fun to watch, though.
Harden?
Smooth.
Yeah, he's the best one-on-one player in the league.
Yeah, I mean, he'll hold the ball for 20 seconds, and he'll just dribble it around, go through the
Yeah, he
legs,
just rocks you to
hesitation,
sleep
and then he'll
and-
take that side-to-side step back, fade away.
Which is that a travel? A lot of people think that's a travel. I don't think
Well,
it is.
Did you see that?
8 years ago, it
Did you
was.
see the Covington travel? Yeah, that was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Again, it's loosey-goosey, but the one thing I look at Harden, and then going back to the Pacers, with the way that one-on-one game, you could see Oladipo getting to that spot, getting to that place where maybe in a few years he becomes the next type of Harden where he just takes over games, because he's already kind of doing it.
Already.
And Harden just has a little bit more flash about him. But it's crazy. I mean, you shoot it and you're like, that's going in. And that's how you felt about Steph Curry a few years ago. Let go of the ball, it's going in. And that's scary but the problem is Golden State has 4 of those guys. Warriors.
Yeah, I don't.
The
I don't
Rockets
think
have 1.
The Rockets don't have enough pieces. Chris Paul's the point guard was awesome when they brought him in. Like I don't think historically he'll go down as high as he should.
I completely agree. I think he's very underrated.
I think he's one of the best point guards that we've seen in a very long time, and I don't think that he's going to get the recognition because he never got to a conference finals. He never got to play in June.
He might get to the conference finals this year.
Well, yeah,
I think
fair. I think they'll get to the conference finals this year, but I don't think that they're going to be able to. I mean,
what if
Golden State won the finals before the season started? Really?
Yeah.
Actually, it happened when Durant came last year.
I mean,
they won 2 in a row.
Even if let's say whoever comes out of the East, I mean, what are they going to have to shoot from 3 in each game to compete with the Warriors?
119%.
I mean, through the like 44%, and I don't even know what range you thought was a good 3-point average at the end of a game. Is it over 40%? Like that's elite?
Yeah, I would say over 40% as a team is elite. Yes.
So yeah, I mean, you're going to have to shoot 45% probably to be able to trump the Warriors in any of the 4, 5, maybe 5 NBA Finals games before it's over.
Yeah, the Warriors just put so much pressure on you. And even if you're up 10, you're up 15 in the third quarter, you still don't feel safe because Golden State has so much firepower offensively. They can come back from any deficit. I mean, there are plenty of times where, go back to the Cleveland series when it looked like Cleveland was in control at times and was playing right with Golden State. Then all of a sudden, Golden State would give you that 2-minute punch, and all of a sudden they're up 15. Yeah. And you don't have the withstand offensively to go against a team like that. I mean, they're arguably the best offensive team of all time.
Yeah, it's like Will Ferrell in Old School. You black out, you wake up, and you're down 8 or 10. I mean, it's literally so fast. And that's what was so crazy about that Game 7 Cavs Warriors a few years ago was they went on those runs, and then JR pulled us out of the abyss to have a chance to win that game. But again, if we get off track, it's always going to go back to the Cavs. I apologize. We could stay Rockets Warriors, but it's one of those things where it's just so easy to gravitate toward. Because again, I think. Just kind of changing gears, I think the Sixers definitely have a chance to knock off the Cavs because with the way that the Pacers have played the Cavs this series, I look at what the Sixers are doing right now, and it's funny. When we were talking about the 3-point shot kind of changing the game, look, I would have killed for the Cavs to get J.J. Redick because what he's doing as an element of what the Sixers are doing as a whole, that's huge because, I mean, Simmons, 7-foot point guard, driving the lane, kick it to Redick. Or kick it to Dario. I mean, there's just they have built that team in a similar way to the Warriors. They don't have all the three-point shooters, but that Sixers team is definitely a team that I think can compete with anybody in the East right now.
Well, and when JJ Redick got the half sleeve of tattoos, I think his whole mentality has changed. I mean, I don't know where that came from, but ever since JJ Redick got the half sleeve, he's been like a whole nother player on the NBA court. I don't know what it is. I'm going to get a half sleeve, and I'm going to come on here and wear a sleeveless shirt for the rest of these Be Different podcasts, the way JJ Redick has turned around as a player in the league.
Is he the first Duke player to have a hard part in the hair and then a full sleeve of tats? I mean, the Duke hard part, Bryce Harper approved haircut with the tattoo sleeve.
I mean,
I really think is one of the interesting triple doubles of the NBA season.
I mean, I look at pictures of JJ Redick when he was a freshman and a sophomore at Duke, and he looked like the guy from Blue's Clues. What's his name, Steve?
Yes, he did.
And like he'd wear like a baggy jersey, like all over the place. He'd have that uncut white sleeveless shirt.
White tee.
Yeah, and now all of a
That
sudden
he's been
like,
wearing since JV in high school.
yeah, now all of a sudden he's got 30 pounds of muscle. He's got a half sleeve. He's got his hair that looks like he should be on the front of GQ. Like I don't know where this JJ Redick came from.
And again, I feel like his career has actually improved over the last 2-3 years, or he's been in positions where you've been able to take more notice of what he's been able to do, because he's always been a great 3-point shooter. It's just now he's doing it on teams and in situations where it matters. And he's cold-blooded from the standpoint where he missed 3 in a row. He's coming back. He's going to make that fourth one. And that's what's so dangerous when you get into these NBA finals or these NBA playoffs, that, man, you look at that Sixers roster. And again, the Sixers, the trust the process was cute and everything.
So cute.
When you look at, they always talk about teams that are cursed, right? And you look at Cleveland and you look at different, Dallas has went through some struggles as being a cursed sports team or franchise outside of the Mavericks. But when you look at Embiid and Simmons coming back from those 2 injuries, because easily Embiid could have been Greg Oden, right? Let's face facts. Simmons could have been Grant Hill, because that foot injury just reminded me of where Grant Hill just went downhill really quick. Those 2 guys come back at 90% or better, because Embiid's still a little slow, but I mean, he's so imposing. I mean, when you have those 2 pieces, and then you bring in Dario and you hit the European gold, where a lot of people were selling Dario. They bring back Ilyasova, a post player who can grab double-digit boards, because he was part of the team a couple years ago when they were going through the process. He got ousted just because he didn't fit. And then Covington, they hit gold on Covington. That guy got paid. He got paid a contract that the Cavs probably would have loved to give somebody of his caliber, because I think he's slightly overpaid. But all those pieces are clicking, and it just comes back to, man, you get Simmons and Embiid back from injuries that scared out the entire franchise and fan base. Then you have JJ Redick as a 3-point shooter. That team's gonna pose some problems here the rest of the playoffs.
Do you think your boy's going to go there?
I don't. I get that a lot. I get that question more than anything, just being such a homer.
I just want him to go there so bad.
Oh, you want him to? Or you want me to go there and really go on a rant? No.
Both.
Yeah, exactly. No, I don't. I think it's okay for him to leave, because, again, the championship kind of cleared everything. It was Control-Alt-Delete for Cleveland sports. They got it. The Indians thing kind of stung, but could you imagine if the Indians would have lost and the Cavs would have blown that series? But I don't. I think
Absolute fire.
Yeah, I think LeBron's got a free pass to go over where he wants, but I still think he's interested. And again, it also depends on the last conversation he has with Dan Gilbert, because there's no joke there. They don't get along. I don't need a source in the world to realize they don't get along. And then it also depends on what they do with the coach, because I just don't think Ty Lue, based on his break that he took, and just, again, aesthetics, the eye test, he doesn't look healthy, right? I mean, you look at him, you're like, that might be, for a guy that's had as much success as a head coach, he just does not look healthy, and he doesn't look happy.
That's a LeBron effect, isn't it?
Yeah,
LeBron's is taxing on everybody.
Yeah, well,
like
Spolastra's still doing all right.
Well, it's like the presidency. Like, it takes it out of you. Look at Obama when he got in, where he got out. That's
true.
like trying to coach LeBron.
Well, that's because when you coach LeBron, like, your expectations are win every single game, and then if you don't, and things go all over the place, and
It's not his fault.
Yeah.
It's your fault, dude.
Brad, do you think he's going to leave?
I think he's going to leave.
Fair enough.
I think he should go to either Philly or to the Rockets. And
I think he should go to the Lakers.
I would love it if he goes
Lakers.
to the Rockets, because then they can just like clash with Golden State.
But
all
how does
year.
that narrative play out? Like, just in, like, I'm leaving again, and then I just don't find where it lines up. Like, I know why people want it to happen and why it makes sense from a basketball standpoint and creating a contender, but I just don't see him like LeBron. All right, I got to go again. I just have to. Like, it just is going to be such a weird conversation. And maybe he knows, because again, he's, in addition to being a great basketball player, he's a smart businessman. He knows what he's doing. His team around him gets it. And I just don't see his team around being like, yeah, this will be a good marketing move to leave your hometown again. I don't see how that plays out on the long run. Maybe again,
but he needs to get to 6 rings to challenge Mike.
We've just gotten to a league of such like ring chasing players. Like all the top players right now just chase rings all the time. Like it's become an accepted part of the NBA. If you're one of the top players, all you need to do is chase a ring.
But the writers do that too. The writers are saying your legacy and your resume at the end of your career is all coming down to rings. Because I think LeBron's better than Jordan for a million reasons, but they're going to get the throwback is how many rings does he have? And it's like, if you want to go in a vacuum and you look at the rings, Jordan's got it. But from a statistical and from just what LeBron has done as a generational player, I think that's this is a 4-hour conversation we can have on this. I really do believe
I agree.
Part 2 coming.
Yeah.
Part two, LeBron and Ryan.
But the decision too, and the rant too.
Therapy hour.
Yeah.
For every game, do you wear a LeBron jersey?
I don't wear jerseys. You know what? Amy bought me
It's tattooed on his back
It's like
already.
Mitt Romney at the Utah game.
That was so funny.
He looked like JJ Redick.
He had a button up with a baggy jersey on. It was fantastic.
If JJ Redick went the same route when he was at Duke with the baggy jersey, he would have looked like Mitt Romney. But no, I don't wear a jersey anymore. I did have superstitions during the last few years, but
Like what?
when I would go, because I went up for all the playoff games the last 3 years. I stopped going this year just because it was such it's a 4-hour drive.
That drive sucks.
And it gets taxing.
Yeah.
You thought LeBron and Ty Lue, that drive became a little much. But no, I would have the rally towel over the right shoulder. What I would do is they give out a T-shirt at every game. I'd start stacking them. So whatever game was game 1 shirt, I put 2, 3, and then by game 4, you're in the middle of June. It's 85 degrees out. I sweat when it's 23 degrees out, and then I just 23. And then So those were the type of things. There was eat at the same restaurant. That's because I went with Mike.
Corrido?
No,
Stop, guys. Stop it.
I had a lot of vitamin water. No, it was on 4th Street. It was Greenhouse Tavern.
Okay.
Green.
Oh, and then there was also Michael Simon's barbecue restaurant, and it's going to escape me off the top of my head. But there's a barbecue restaurant that Michael Simon, famous chef.
I love downtown Cleveland, and that's the only reason that I'm okay with LeBron staying.
Because of the
Cleveland
snacks?
is a much better city to go to when LeBron is there.
Oh, absolutely.
It is a much better place to be. Everyone's a little happier, more nightlife, more. It's better.
Yeah,
for sure.
he will change the economy if he leaves again.
He did the first time.
Yeah.
That was for sure.
Yeah, but because again, the restaurant scene. If you take the Indians' current or recent success and LeBron out of the equation, the food scene in Cleveland is legit.
Absolutely.
And I love snacks. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, 4th Street, and even just around 4th Street, there's a lot of good places. And Michael Simon kind of put him on the map too when LeBron was gone. He has his own Food Network shows and nationally syndicated. So
That's the only positive for me.
God, I need to get up to Cleveland. I've never been to Cleveland.
Fun.
Where are you originally from, Brett?
June 16th.
I'm originally from Michigan.
I'm sorry
June
to hear that.
16th.
What's that?
Mark it down. June 16th.
What is June 16th?
Just mark it down. We'll talk later after we get off camera.
Should I put it in my phone or
Yes.
is this like
Yes.
okay,
June
pen and
16th,
paper?
that would be
June
like a
16th.
game 6 of the Ish.
June 16th.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay.
Fair enough. I want to talk about the Trailblazers for a second because can we dismantle the Trailblazers? Can we stop saying they're a good team?
I think we have.
Can we say that C.J. McCollum and Damian Lillard are the most overrated duo in NBA over the last 5 years?
But they would make the best mixtape in the NBA.
Were they the Rain Bros? Did that catch on, or was that like one and done?
I think it was a
Their
one and
nickname-
done.
Like they were the Rain Bros like 2 years ago, and then it was like, see you later.
It was
Big
more.
gulps.
It was more of a drizzle.
Yeah,
They found out, so kind of went away.
But I mean, in their own, they're great players, right? They just aren't going to get a team over the hump. I mean, it's like LeBron the first time around in Cleveland. Maybe they have to go elsewhere to find, again, chase a ring. But I think
All these ring
Why is
chasers.
chasing a ring so bad?
I
'Cause
think
it's
we went
winning.
on a tangent there.
They got to be Lord of the Rings. You know?
Why is it so bad chasing a
because
ring?
there's something to be said about like staying somewhere and doing it organically rather than just going to a team that you know is already good. There's something about
so in 60
acquiring
years,
talent to who you are and your organization and your city and having pride about where you're from. There's something to be said about that, Nick.
You know, one thing that I think gets touched on that isn't like widely known that we might kind of teach something to the audience there today, the AAU mentality, where these kids on the AAU level, when they're in high school, they play with all their buddies. So that has kind of transitioned into, oh, well, I'm going to go play with my buddy when I can. Maybe it's not at the collegiate level because the college team doesn't need that. Plus, we're only going to be there 1 year. But that because again, LeBron just wanted to play with his friends that he knew all these years. I mean, I still think,
and he cemented his legacy forever because he won 3 rings. Forever. He cemented his legacy forever.
And he got Cleveland.
But people would
and
not.
Then he got Cleveland his
but
as well.
People outside people, like even myself, would not look at LeBron the same if he wasn't able to go back to Cleveland and win a title.
You're saying if he lost the title, he would not be.
If he never won a title with Cleveland, I think people would look at him differently.
If Kyrie
I think
didn't win
that
a
title at Cleveland put him in another atmosphere. The one title he had with Cleveland.
Right.
Kyrie's ring.
Kyrie's ring.
Sorry.
It's kind of true.
It's Kyrie's ring.
Yeah.
Without Kyrie, LeBron does not get 4.
No, because I mean, anytime there's those clutch moments in Cleveland history, we miss it. He made the shot, and that's why I bought. No kidding. I was like, "You just won a championship." I supported Kyrie's brand of Nike for 3 months after that. I was
Absolutely.
like, "Well, I'll give you a little kickback.
Yeah,
it's cool."
absolutely.
Granted, you're really a deep thinker and you're outside the box on some of this flat Earth stuff. But if you want to bounce over to Boston and do your own thing there, completely respect it because you made the shot. And I don't think LeBron makes that shot. Kevin Love maybe, but I looked around that roster. I'm like, who makes that shot in that moment? Kyrie.
Well, yeah, but I think Kevin Love only makes that shot if someone kicks it to him like that. Kyrie made that.
Oh,
shot.
yeah, off the
like
dribble.
Kyrie made
Right.
that step back. Like
Yeah.
he's the one that produced that own shot. Like I don't know, Kyrie's ring.
It is. I think there's valid argument there.
That's fair. That's fair. I'll give you that. Let's move on to OKC, Utah. I want to talk a little bit about Oklahoma City, a small market team that brought in as much talent as they possibly could, brought in all the big names, and it just simply doesn't seem to be working.
Yeah, I think they're running through a lot of the things. They built the team wrong. I mean, it goes back to that. I mean, Paul George would have been a better fit in Cleveland than in Oklahoma City. I think Paul George will be a better fit wherever he goes next because it's not going to be OKC. Russell Westbrook, generational in his own way talent, but he's not making the people around him better. He, in his vacuum, is a great player and is making – because, again, do you go to the game to be entertained or do you go to the game to be watch a winner or get a championship as a fan? And I think those are two questions you have to ask yourself. But, yeah, and then Carmelo is just – it's just not good. I mean, he's just he was a great player at Syracuse. He won that national championship. He comes into the NBA, and he had great years in Denver in the early going. He just, again, he never made that next step, and I don't think he's made, obviously, Oklahoma City better. You pay a lot of money to bring in some big names, put butts in seats, but I never thought, because, again, the way that Westbrook plays, I didn't think Paul George and Carmelo were going to be enough to get out of the West just because of what we talked about earlier with the Warriors and just how good of offense the Rockets have right now. I mean, it's kind of like what happens is you take all these great shooters. Well, somebody's not going to have to shoot one night, and they're going to get out of rhythm, and then that kind of plays out to how do you get in a rhythm if you have all these great shooters? Everybody needs their shots. Well, there's only so many shots in a game, and that's where you get to where you're at now with Oklahoma City. Paul George all of a sudden became great again. Where was that during the regular season? Maybe they could have got a better seed or something like that in the West. It just seems like different players have stepped up in different times of the year, and it's just not been as even as it's needed to be to get over the hump. Because it was an experiment that was cute to put butts in seats, but wasn't built to win an NBA championship.
Yeah, Melo's shooting in the playoffs 37% from the field and 23% from the three-point line.
Can you see what Westbrook's shooting? Because I don't think he's shooting well at all.
Westbrook is shooting about 37% from inside the arc and 21%.
It's just not a good mix of players.
No.
These guys are all super high volume guys.
but he
They all
gets
need the ball in their
triple-doubles.
hands.
You put the N1 tour
Oh,
on
and he
that.
can
That's
shut
what
down.
I'm saying.
or
though, like-
2-on-2 street ball, like White Man Can't Jump. You got great two-man options there.
Absolutely. I mean, Carmelo and Westbrook are fantastic at letting it fly. You know, but could you imagine what the OKC should be right now?
Yeah.
with Harden and Durant and Westbrook, but Westbrook's a succubus.
Yeah, I mean, see where OKC was, and this seems like the final hurrah. This was the last chance, and now OKC is about to implode. I mean, they are not going to be good at all moving forward. But you're right. You look at what they were 7-8 years ago. You had Harden, Durant, Westbrook, and then even a couple years ago, before Durant left, it still looked like a team that could make it to the NBA Finals. They were one game away from beating Golden State and playing Cleveland in the NBA Finals just a couple years ago. And I like that OKC went out and tried to make these big moves with Paul George, with Carmelo Anthony. It just hasn't worked.
We need players that are okay with sitting back and watching Russ.
Yeah,
and that's just not going to happen now.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, you're never gonna. I don't think you can win a championship with Russell Westbrook now. Maybe Russell Westbrook in a couple years when he decides, like, oh, I don't need to score 30. It's better if I have 17 assists.
Well, and then and Westbrook's ego definitely backfired on him. I mean, he goes at Ricky Rubio, who had a triple-double, and then, I mean, he makes his big proclamation that Ricky Rubio, no chance he's going to have a good game, and then he picks up 4 fouls in the first half. I mean, if Westbrook, I mean, why would he do that at that point? It's just his ego getting the best of him.
Well, yeah, and again, I think he's just the desperation is so evident in Russell, and I think desperation allows for players to get locked up and inside their own head, and that's the worst place for a player to be. You got to play a little loose and free, and I think that's what Paul George is doing. Paul George is like, I'm out of here soon, so I'm just going to play a little. And we know that Utah has the edge in the series, so I'm going to kind of just, again, play a lot looser than I did when I was all wound up and tight during the regular season, trying to win this team, trying to do the right thing, along with Carmelo and Russell, 2 alpha males on the floor at the same time. I mean, that's just bad roster construction. I know why they did it, because
I bet they sold a ton of tickets.
Well, exactly. And you mentioned small market. I mean, there's not much to do in Oklahoma City. You put those people, I mean, everybody's going to be going to your games every day. Plus, I would go just to see Russell Westbrook play, whether they brought in Paul George or not. But yeah, I mean, I just think it was just bad. And Russell, I mean, I don't think his personality is ever going to change. He's always going to be that same guy, because here's the crazy thing. He was on the same team with Kevin Love at UCLA. You would never have known it. Like, I mean, he was still aggressive. He attacked the rim. Mm-hmm. But something flipped probably when he was around Harden and Durant, where he's like, wait, I'm way better than this league. And I think he's just locked into that mentality. Because he would have the thunderous dunks at UCLA that one year, but he wasn't that A-type personality that we've seen him develop into.
Well, and, I mean, their turnovers between Paul George and Russell Westbrook, they've got 37 turnovers between the two of them in 4 games.
And turnovers are going to kill you in these playoffs, because the way that these good teams flip it, take those turnovers and turn it into 2-3 points per possession, I mean, that matters.
Yep.
You got to keep your turnovers down. I mean, there's just it's profound to say that, right? But, I mean, you can't have 14 turnovers in an NBA playoff game, especially when the other team is realize you're on your heels.
Ryan, what time do the Cavaliers play tonight?
Well, I don't even know.
We should know that.
I know.
If you're a true fan, you would know what time the game is tonight.
7 o'clock. Well, here's the thing. They shifted. Here's the funny thing. It says 7 o'clock. That thing's not tipped until 7:20, 7:30. That's a lie right there on my screen. And again, it drives me crazy when there's a 7 o'clock tip time during the week, and then it'll just randomly go to 8, and then 8:30 on Sunday. I know you do it for the primetime numbers, but that shift. And plus, the fun thing, when you would drive up there and you have that 8:30 tip time, and then you drive back that same night, those were some good times.
Yeah.
But it was worth it. But, yeah, I think tonight Cavs win by 10.
And then are Wizards-Raptors, is that game after that game? Do we have that?
It's same time.
Oh, same time?
Yeah, same time.
We'll be watching that one. John Wall. The Raptors just can't get over the hump either.
Toronto has not changed their roster in 15 years, I swear to God. I think DeMar DeRozan and Jonas Valanciunas and Lowry, they've been there for 15 years. They're the 6-year senior that you always like. How is he still on that basketball team? I swear I've been following him forever. But yeah, that's I think the complacency on that roster is part of the reason they haven't been able to over a hump. There's insanity doing the same thing over again. They can win early rounds and they can catch fire, but they're never going to get out of the East.
I just think it doesn't really matter what happens in the East, because no one from the East can beat anyone.
It's still
from
fun
the
to
West.
watch, though. Fun to watch and talk about it.
I like John Wall. I like to see what he's doing.
I'm just happy to see other teams compete. I mean, that's to see what the Sixers have done I think that's undersold, and some people think it's oversold. When you have the Ben Simmons, Donovan Mitchell MVP conversation, I think that's severely under talked about. Just because to hit all those right buttons with that process and to put this team where they're at right now, I think I just saw that it was the first time they got out of the first round since 2012, which was surprising they did that in 2012. But that's a fascinating team, and I think that's the team that, if the Cavs fall off, it's the Sixers East to run for a while.
Yeah, there's more parity in the East, which I think makes it at least entertaining. I haven't watched much of the West other than probably the OKC Utah series. The Spurs Golden State series hasn't been fun to watch at all. But the East has been, I mean, I honestly don't know who's going to make it out of the East. I know, Ryan, you think Cleveland's going to get out, but you could see, a handful of teams right now possibly, make that run.
Yeah, and Boston, even without Kyrie, I mean, I would have killed to have Jaylen Brown right now. Jaylen Brown and Tatum, those are killers. And Terry Rozier, I think, has surprised a lot of people with how he's stepped up in a lot of situations. They might have just a little lack of depth that'll hurt them in the long run. But, I mean, Jaylen Brown and Tatum, that's a nasty, youthful bunch that they're going to have for a while. And Kyrie locked up in a contract for a while, as long as that knee isn't a long-term Brandon Roy type situation.
And they got Brad Stevens, who arguably one of the best coaches in the league right now.
There's a Ryan, do you ever use Basketball Reference?
Of course.
So have you seen their forecast simulator for the playoffs?
Yeah.
So this is pretty interesting. They have, and they do their 1,000 simulations. They have
It's a good idea for a business.
Yeah, it seems like it, right?
Yeah, it's brilliant.
They have the Houston Rockets as a 36% chance to make the finals. That's the highest in the West. Golden State's the next with 9.9%. They have Golden State, and then in the East they have the Raptors at 28%, and then next is the Sixers at 11.8%.
I would have given the Rockets thing a lot more credence had they not tapped the Raptors to come out of the East.
Yeah, that is. I mean, that's just that they're thinking it's going to be Houston and Toronto.
Because I'm guessing that's all statistically based simulations.
Yeah, right,
so,
right.
I mean, they're taking the stats, they're running it 1,001 times, and there's probably defensive efficiency that's weighted a lot heavier than I think the casual fan knows, is that the defensive rating and free throws are weighted a lot heavier.
And that's not going to go that well for the Cavs, so...
No. Oh, my God.
It's
the
Cavs
Olay.
are pretty low on that list.
Yeah, the Olay defense is that lane is wide open. Oladipo knows that all too well.
Who we got next?
I think that's it, guys. I think we've covered all topics.
All right.
I think we got
You
everything.
made it through the whole show. I'm really proud of you, Brad.
I did. The E. coli, it attacked me at a few times. Right about the middle round, it started
Do you
to
get
hit me
that
a little
cold
bit.
sweat? Do you get the cold sweat?
I've been getting sweats. I haven't gotten the sweats
Cold
today.
sweats is the worst.
I'm going to be okay. I'm actually proud of myself that I was able to sit on this seat for as long as I did. I think it was about 45, 50 minutes, and I just stayed put. I stayed calm. I
Harry in Dumb and Dumber.
barely took a breath, though. I'm being completely honest. I had to breathe through my nose. But Ryan, you were fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on and giving us all that great basketball talk, especially when you take a look at the Cavaliers stuff. It was awesome to have a guy with that great Cavaliers background and a good perspective on where they're at right now, where they've been, and where you think they're going to go.
Oh, I have to bring something up really quick.
What's that?
Your boy, is he signing with the Big Baller brand?
Oh, did you see that?
JC?
Jordan Crawford's going to sign with Big Baller.
Have you been chirping in his ear this whole time?
Guys, let's just say I could be next with MVP. Okay, I've been lobbying to be a part of LeVar Ball's group for a long time now. So
You know how much he likes LeBron? That's how much he likes LeVar, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Episode 3, after we get done with LeBron's decision, episode 3 will be the coming to Jesus moment on that.
well, I think very similar to LeBron, LeVar Ball is very much ahead of his time.
Very
and,
similar to
and
LeBron.
doing things that no one's ever seen before, which I have a huge amount of respect and
No one's ever been a gym teacher before, because that's what LeVar Ball was.
Okay, whatever. It was his teaching ground. That was his launch pad.
It has been quiet. No LeVar headlines
that's
lately.
true.
It's
That's
been very
true.
quiet.
That's how I like it.
Well,
Maybe that way.
Maybe he's in the
lurking,
back.
He's lurking in the grass. He's coming up.
It's all tactical. This is all a tactic from LeVar, and I say it pretty much every time. But LeVar, if you need anything, please
Oh my God.
feel free to leave a comment.
I feel so much better about my LeBron obsession and gas obsession right now. Cathartic moment right now.
Oh, I'm getting my black and gold BBB shorts in the mail here.
$350 well
Yeah.
spent.
Yeah, you should see the packaging on the Big Baller Brand stuff too.
Yeah.
It is awesome.
Their shoes don't come with shoelaces.
It's like an iPod.
You have to buy those separately.
Get the headphones separate for 150.
No.
All right, Brad, sign off.
And that is it for the Be Different podcast. Brad Redford, Greg Wichard, Nick Given, and Ryan Fowler. Thanks, and make sure, please subscribe on YouTube. We need that. We'll get it done. We'll have this up on iTunes as well, so you can get the audio there. But we'll be back next week, and that is it for the Be Different podcast.